Hello guys, welcome back to Game Mechanics. In this episode we're going to be talking about the gate and door behavior I built for you, in which we can achieve without coding or animating complex door behavior like this one, or basic chest behavior as it is here. The door behavior allows us to make doors that opens toward the direction we walk into. The only case the door will only open toward us is when the door is not completely closed, like in this example. We can also set to the door an obstacle detection sensor so the door knows when to stop. This is good to keep the door slightly open on gameplay. Furthermore, we can also set up a double door system, and as you see here, we can also tweak the opening and closing behavior of the doors and gates. We can have multiple sensors open the same door. As I walk into the volume, the cyan door opens. Or if I push a box into a laser, the cyan door will also open. But what about the gray door? We can set the minimum number of entities required to open a door. For example, we push a second box into a laser and the gray door will open. If we destroy one of those boxes, the gray door will close. We can try walking into the volume and the gray door will also open. Why? Because there's two entities, my character and the another box. If we destroy the another box, the gray door will close, because there's only one entity, my character. Continuing, we can also encounter with the gate behavior. As you see, the gate behavior already had set up the obstacle detection sensor. The gate behavior can be used also to achieve the elevator gate behavior. As you see, this is really nice looking. This already had set up the obstacle detection sensor, as you can see. Another cool feature I implemented into the gate and door behavior is that we can have the gate or door check for every sensor to see if they are interacting with any object. If so, it will open. If we move the box into the laser and if we walk into the volume, the door will open. But what if we destroy the box? Now the door will close, because with my character is not enough. The door also requires the sensor to be activated. And the coolest part of all this is that we can achieve complex door behavior like this one by combining both the door and gate behavior. Now I'm gonna show you how to set up the door and gate behavior. The access to all this package will be on my Discord server. The link will be on the description below, and I'm gonna challenge you to make your own setup and to showcase it on my Discord server. To set up the door, we need the following: a door object that has the axis, which the axis has the door behavior. The door also have a trigger, which is what's gonna open and close the door. The door behavior has the following: the part to rotate, which is used to rotate the door, and the part to rotate has also the asset, which is the art. The axis also have the desired rotation, which is how much we want the door to rotate. Now let's set up the door behavior. Let's go to the axis. We first need to assign the animation curve for the opening behavior and the closing behavior. The animation speed is how fast we want the animation to run. At 1 is the default speed. We can also modify the seconds before closing and the seconds before opening. We can also set the minimum of entity required to open the door. We can check the open if all contain, which is gonna make the door check for all the sensors assigned in triggers in the trigger list to see if all triggers are interacting with any object. If so, the door opens. We assign the trigger sensor and the part to rotate in the part to edit. The goal is gonna be the desired rotation. I recommend to assign the door forward, which is gonna help the door to open towards the direction we walk in. The obstruction check is also optional. We're gonna talk about it later. Now we have to go into the trigger object. we have to make sure that the box collider is triggered as it is here. We also set the trigger sensor, and we have to make sure that the layer mask that we want to interact with is player. We have to set two events: the onRegister event, which is when the player enters the volume. We need to assign the object that has the door behavior, and we need to call the request to open. Later, on the onLeave event, which is when the player leaves the volume, we need to call to the same object but the function request to close, and that's it. The door behavior is already set up. Let's try it out. As you see, the door opens and closes, and also opens toward the direction we walk into. Now let's set up the object detection sensor. Now we go in the door object in the part to rotate, and we create a child called Obstacle Sensor. This one is gonna have for now a kinematic rigid body with the gravity deactivated, and also it's gonna have a box collider as trigger. After doing so, we have to rotate the box 90 degrees to make sure that it is facing towards the direction the door is facing. We center the obstacle sensor, and we have to make it very thin. After doing all this, we have to set the trigger sensor, and we have to make sure that the layer mask is on the layer that you want to interact with. Then we assign the obstacle sensor on the obstruction check, and as you see, it works. Let's set up a gate behavior. We need a gate object, which is gonna have the start position with the gate behavior. The start is gonna have the part to move, and the part to move is gonna have the game asset. The start position is also gonna have the goal, which is the point where the door is supposed to go. The gate object also have a trigger object, which is what's gonna open and close the door. In the start position, we have to set first the opening and closing animation curve. After doing so, we can now set the trigger into the trigger list. We have to also set the part to move and the goal. We're gonna talk about the obstruction check of the gate later. We go now into the trigger, and we have to make sure that the onRegister event have the start object, which is gonna access the gate behavior to request to open. And then we go into the onLeave event, and we do the same, but this one is gonna request to close. We set the layer mask to player, and now we try it out. As you see, it works. It opens and it closes. Let's set up now the obstruction check of the obstacle sensor. We need to go to the part to move. We create a child, which is gonna be called obstacle sensor. And to this child, we need to add the rigid body as kinematic without gravity, a box collider as trigger, and you need to position the box collider right where you want the gate to detect for obstacle. Now we can add the trigger sensor, and we set the layer to interact with. After doing so, we can assign the obstacle sensor in the obstruction check, and as you see, it works. If we move the box, now the gate closes. We can try again. Like and subscribe for more content like this. Go get this package on my Discord server, the link will be on the description below.